You're a foot away from the answer, but you'd rather open 15 browser tabs and dig through some obscure forum from 2008 than just turn your head and ask the person next to you. Society has a few labels for this: social anxiety, stubbornness, or arrogance. But they are fundamentally wrong. What you're executing isn't fear. It's a military-grade data security protocol that the average mind doesn't even have the hardware to run. While 99% of the population takes the social shortcut, the path of least cognitive resistance, your brain instinctively rejects unverified information. Your refusal to just ask for help isn't a character flaw. It's your mind's firewall blocking corrupted data from unreliable external sources. You're not antisocial, you're pro-truth. And that obsessive need to verify every single variable on your own isn't a factory defect. It's a high-integrity design, operating exactly as it was programmed to dominate. The world praises you for being independent, self-sufficient. They admire the effect without understanding the biological cause. They see strength, but they don't comprehend the mental architecture that produces it. The real question isn't why you function this way. The question is whether their constant dependence, their need for external validation for every single step, is truly an evolutionary advantage. There is a specific neural signature, a pattern of brain activation that neuroscience has already mapped, which explains why autonomous solutions energize you, while depending on unreliable sources causes a deep energy drain. Science has a name for this form of processing, and it contradicts everything popular psychology has taught you about collaboration. You're about to discover that what you thought was your greatest social defect is, in fact, the very proof that you belong to a cognitive elite. The world loves to call you independent, but only when it suits them. They admire what you build, but they condemn the very solitude required to build it. They see the strength, but they can't stand the mental architecture that holds it all up. The real question, the one nobody dares to ask, isn't why are you this way? It's whether their pathological need for constant outside approval for every tiny decision is even sustainable. There's a specific neural signature, a distinct electrical pattern, that neuroscience has already mapped, that explains why true autonomy fuels you, while forced collaboration completely drains your mental battery. Science actually has a name for this, and it completely shatters the cheap, pop psychology nonsense from HR that insists everyone must be a team player. You're about to discover that what you've always been told is your greatest social flaw is actually the biological proof that you belong to a very rare cognitive elite. That Caltech study didn't just identify this rare brain architecture, it mapped out exactly why your brain interprets external help not as support, but as a dangerous interference. The explanation lies in how your brain processes reward and information, and that's the key to turning this trait into your greatest asset. This connects directly to the work of neuroscientists like Thomas Insel on what's known as the predictive brain. See, your brain builds these internal models of the world in stunningly high resolution, and it trusts those models far more than any external input. For a brain wired like this, asking for help is the equivalent of introducing a low-quality variable into a high-precision equation. It's data corruption. Your brain is instinctively protecting the integrity of its own superior processing. What the world calls stubbornness is, in reality, a neurological quality control mechanism. This biology isn't a defect. It's an evolutionary advantage in a chaotic world. But before I show you how to activate this biology as your greatest weapon, we need to decode why the world is programmed to make you feel wrong for having it in the first place. The system wasn't built for you. That's the hard truth nobody has the courage to tell you. The schools that reward mediocre group work, the offices that glorify endless brainstorming, the social pressure for constant collaboration, all of it is a paradise for the consensus brain, for the hive mind. It's a social architecture designed for predictability and conformity, not for evolutionary leaps. And your brain, a solo explorer's brain, operates on a logic that terrifies that entire structure. It doesn't seek the comfort of the group. It's biologically compelled to hunt for the truth, even if that means hunting alone. That isn't a defect. It's a direct threat to the collective hypnosis. They've put labels on you. They called you stubborn, controlling, not a team player. That's a lazy diagnosis. The reaction of minds that simply can't keep up with the speed you operate at. But what they see as a flaw is in the neuroscience of strategy, an elite trait. Cognitive sovereignty. It's the biological ability to build, validate, and trust your own complex mental models without needing anyone else's approval. While most people need the group's permission to even think, your brain learned to forge its own tools for thinking in silence. This is the hallmark of pioneers, innovators, and the true strategists. You weren't isolating yourself out of fear. Your brain was building an internal lab, far from the contamination of groupthink. This radical autonomy comes at a high energy cost, and a world built on interdependence, it just doesn't know what to do with you. The hive mind sees self-reliance not as a strength but as a glitch in the system. a dangerous anomaly. Because a mind that doesn't need outside approval is a mind that can't be controlled. Your independence isn't a scar from past trauma. It's proof that your survival instinct has evolved into a weapon of pure clarity. Now that you understand the hostile environment you're operating in, it's time to dissect this biological weapon you carry. So let's look at what exactly is going on inside your head that makes you so rare. What pop psychology calls self-sabotage, cutting-edge neuroscience is starting to decode as cognitive sovereignty. That landmark study from Caltech wasn't analyzing a flaw. It was mapping an evolutionary advantage. It differentiated the model-free reasoning that 95% of the population uses, a biological, trial-and-error shortcut based on what's worked before, from your default system. Model-based reasoning. Your brain doesn't just look for the fastest answer. It builds a complete, functional model of the entire territory before it takes a single step. For a brain like that, asking for help is like a precision engineer being handed a sketch on a napkin. Your prefrontal cortex, the neural command center, isn't rejecting the information out of arrogance, but out of a biological need for the integrity of its model. An incomplete piece of data isn't just unhelpful, it's a contaminant to the entire system. The truth is, your dopamine pathway, your brain's reward circuit, is simply wired differently. Most people get their dopamine hit from social validation, from the thanks for the help, from collaboration. Your neurochemical reward doesn't come from the outside. It comes from that internal click, the electrical pulse that fires when your complex mental model finally locks into place, and the solution reveals itself with absolute clarity. You're not addicted to collaboration. You're addicted to clarity. Research from Caltech confirmed it. This model-based system is precisely what allows you to navigate new and complex scenarios, the kind where the old rules and the shortcuts most people rely on simply fail. This is the biology of the explorer, the innovator, the strategist who sees the entire battlefield while everyone else is just looking at their next move. This isn't a socialization flaw, it's an evolutionary advantage, engineered to conquer the unknown. It's what allows you to build solutions where no playbook exists. Understanding your biology is the first step. The next is to wield it like the strategic weapon it was always meant to be. Look, this isn't a protocol to cure your independence. It's an operator's manual for aiming your biology in the right direction. Forget the average person's goal of learning to ask for help. Your mission is different: to learn how to extract high-quality data from your environment for your superior processing engine. Your approach shifts from a passive request to an active demand for information. Protocol 1. The data quarantine. Instead of asking, "Can you help me?" your new language is, "What's your source for that claim?" or "Can you show me the raw data?" You're not asking for a solution. You're demanding the raw material for your processing engine, one that operates at a resolution most people can't even perceive. You're not letting your guard down, you're auditing their reality. Protocol 2. The explorer's sprint. You have to communicate your biological needs not as an apology, but as a performance directive. Your requirement for silence and focus isn't a social flaw, it's a non-negotiable condition for deep processing. So instead of just disappearing and creating static, you announce, "I need 3 hours of uninterrupted exploration. I'll deliver the complete map of the territory at 3 p.m. You're not isolating yourself, you're calibrating your biological hardware for the benefit of the entire group. You're not antisocial, you are a rare asset that requires specific conditions to produce an extraordinary outcome. Your survival strategy is not to adapt, it's to command your environment. Seek out roles and projects that reward depth and precision, not shallow collaboration and noise. Let the hive buzz. Your role is not the worker bee, stuck in the grind of the immediate task. You are the architect of the hive, the one who builds the map the masses will use to navigate, never understanding how it was even made. If you've made it to the end of this video, it wasn't by accident. Your brain's pattern recognition system, the most ancient and honest part of your biology, identified the truth in every word because it was hearing a description of itself. That validation is your final proof. Now do your part for our tribe. In the comments, don't ask if you belong. Declare it. Answer this. What was the exact moment you realized your neurological wiring was fundamentally different from everyone around you? If you've made it this far, you already know the truth. You're not broken, antisocial, or complicated. You're a neurological architect operating with a high-definition mind. This isn't a flaw to be fixed. It's a strategic advantage that most people will never understand. If you identify with a mind that demands data over opinions, that builds models where others only see chaos, then you already belong here. That subscribe button isn't a plea for support. It's simply the formal confirmation of your identity. The like isn't for me. It's a signal, a way to guide this message to other minds who, right at this moment, feel broken because of what is actually their greatest strength. And once you understand the biology of your mind, The next step is to master its application in the real world. The video you see on the screen is the operator's manual. It reveals the protocols for turning that internal clarity into external power, for becoming the architect the system needs, not the outsider it isolates. What you learned today was the diagnosis. That video is the action plan. Remember, you don't need to change who you are. You only need to understand who you are. And now, you do.